The whisper came from the shadows of the fluorescent-lit hallway, where the night custodian, old Mr. Harlan, paused his cart with a squeak that echoed like a secret being spilled. He wasn't one for chit-chat, always humming old blues tunes under his breath while he buffed the floors of Apex Solutions' downtown Manhattan office. But that evening, as I sorted through the last stack of compliance reports on my desk, he leaned in close, his voice gravelly and low, like he was sharing a ghost story around a campfire. "Sophia, darlin', you might want to steer clear of the exec lounge tomorrow mornin'. Something's brewin' that ain't got your name on it." He didn't wait for a reply, just pushed on with his mop, leaving me with that pit in my stomach. The kind that twists slow and deep, like roots burrowing into soil you thought was solid. I didn't sleep much that night. 7 years at Apex had wired me that way, always on, always anticipating the next regulatory snag or vendor glitch. I wasn't just the director of compliance, I was the invisible thread holding the whole damn tapestry together. From our scrappy startup days in a cramped Soho loft with flickering servers and instant ramen lunches, I'd built the frameworks that turned us into a mid-tier powerhouse in data security consulting. I knew every clause in our federal contracts, every loophole in the ISO standards, every hidden timer in our audit trails. While the flashy types chased TEDx invites and viral LinkedIn posts, I was the one in the trenches, untangling multi-million-dollar messes before they hit the fan. Victor, my boss, the CEO who'd recruited me straight out of NYU with promises of building something real, used to call me his quiet guardian. I'd smile and nod, thinking loyalty like that meant something in this cutthroat world. But Harlan's words gnawed at me, a quiet erosion starting in my chest. The next morning, I arrived early. As always, my coffee steaming in a chipped mug I'd had since our first office move. The air in the building felt thicker, charged with unspoken static. I walked past the glass-walled conference rooms, catching glimpses of the leadership team huddled inside, Victor at the head like a king surveying his court. And there, right beside him, was Ethan, Victor's nephew, fresh from some Ivy League MBA program, with his slicked-back hair and that perpetual smirk like he'd invented ambition. Ethan wasn't built for the grind, he was built for the spotlight, posting those cringeworthy hustle culture reels on Instagram, spouting nonsense about disrupting silos while wearing designer sneakers in the office. I'd trained him myself last year, handing over decks I'd poured nights into, only to watch him repackage them as his visionary insights. My name wasn't on the invite. I stood there in the hallway, invisible as ever, feeling that first crack in the foundation, like the ground shifting under a house you thought was unbreakable. Betrayal doesn't roar, it simmers. It builds in the silences, in the averted eyes during hallway nods, in the way your contributions get airbrushed out of the narrative. By noon, the announcement email pinged everyone's inbox. Exciting leadership update. Ethan promoted to VP of Strategic Compliance. No mention of me. No transition plan. Just a glossy photo of him flashing that camera-ready grin. Victor's note praised Ethan's fresh energy and innovative mindset, as if my 7 years of bulletproof systems were yesterday's news. I sat at my desk, staring at the screen, the hurt coiling tight in my throat like a spring wound too far. This wasn't just a job, it was my lifeblood. I'd skipped family dinners, ignored doctors' warnings about burnout, all to keep Apex compliant and thriving. And now, they were handing the keys to someone who couldn't tell a SOC2 report from a social media strategy. I didn't storm into Victor's office, didn't raise my voice or slam a fist. Instead, I breathed deep, let the anger settle into something colder, sharper, a resolve born from the quiet ache of being undervalued. That afternoon, while the office buzzed with forced congratulations, I opened my personal drive and started documenting. Not for them, but for me. every custom script I'd written, every encrypted backup I'd set up under my independent consulting LLC, Harris Safeguards, registered quietly 3 years back as a just-in-case. It was all legal. All mine. Apex had never bothered to formalize the handoffs because, well, Sophia always handled it. Why question a system that worked flawlessly? I printed my resignation. 1 page. Concise, effective end of day. No drama. No bridges burned, just a clean cut. Walking into that post-announcement huddle felt like stepping into a theater where the script had been rewritten without me. Ethan was mid-toast, joking about leveling up the compliance game, while Victor clapped him on the back, his eyes avoiding mine. I handed the letter to Victor mid-sentence. He faltered, reading it twice, his face paling under the harsh office lights. Sophia, this is unexpected. I met his gaze, steady and unblinking. Congrats to Ethan. The room went still. The kind of hush that amplifies every heartbeat. Ethan chuckled nervously, but it died in his throat. Victor pulled me aside later, his voice a mix of plea and command. You're essential here. Think about the team. I tilted my head, feeling the weight of unspoken years. I did. For too long. He pressed. Is this some kind of ultimatum? My smile was thin, laced with the bitterness I'd swallowed for months. Of course not. Back at my desk. Door closed. I initiated the detachment. Revoked my admin keys from the secondary servers, nothing destructive. Just inaccessible without my biometric override. Copied my proprietary templates, the ones I'd designed from scratch. Wiped my fingerprints from the dashboards, leaving placeholders that read, Access pending review. It wasn't revenge, it was reclamation. They'd assumed I was replaceable, but I'd embedded myself so deeply that pulling me out would unravel the seams. As I logged out for the last time, I sent a Slack to HR, resignation processed. Best wishes. No fanfare. I walked out past the bullpen, where Ethan was already filming a promotion glow-up video, interns giggling like it was a party. No one stopped me. The elevator doors closed. And for the first time in years, the pressure in my chest eased, just a little. The fallout started subtle. Like a leak in a dam you don't notice until the water's at your knees. 3 days later, during a routine vendor call with SecureNet Partners, our biggest Tier 1 ally, their compliance officer, Carla Ruiz, paused mid-sentence. Sophia isn't on this anymore? We'll need to verify the SLA continuity clause. Ethan, sweating through his first solo audit prep, fumbled. We're streamlining. No issues. But Carla wasn't buying it. I'd planted that clause myself 2 years ago, mandatory oversight by qualified personnel, with a 10-day review trigger on staff changes. Without me, their discount evaporated, spiking costs by $2.8 million overnight. Ethan tried to bluff, but the system locked him out mid-demo, a red error screen screaming unauthorized pathway. Panic texts from old colleagues started trickling in. Hey, Soph. Quick question on the backup nodes. I didn't respond. Let them feel the void. Victor's calls came next. Voicemail after voicemail, his tone shifting from casual to desperate. Sophia, we might have undervalued your role. Let's talk. I changed my number, forwarded emails to a dead inbox with an auto-reply, no longer affiliated. Good luck. Meanwhile, at Apex, the quarterly ISO audit hit like a storm. The lead inspector, MS Kendra Ellis, sharp as a tack, with a reputation for sniffing out gaps, demanded the chain of custody logs. Ethan clicked frantically, opening folders labeled Legacy Sophia files, but they were shells. Empty husks without my keys. We're migrating to Agile frameworks, he stammered. Kendra's pen scratched furiously. Evidence must be immediate. Not promised. By day's end, payments froze, $18 million in federal renewals deferred. Whispers turned to murmurs in the break room. Who built this anyway? The answer hung unspoken. The woman they'd erased. I didn't gloat from afar. Instead, I sat in a sunlit cafe across from Alliant Group recruiters, our fiercest competitor, sipping espresso as they outlined my new consulting gig. Your expertise is gold, they said. Sliding over a contract triple my old salary. I'd reached out weeks before. Subtly. After spotting Ethan's accidental access delays in the logs. Now, with Apex crumbling, Alliant poached their flagship client, Vanguard Federal, right under Victor's nose. I advised on the migration, pointing out the vulnerabilities in Apex's setup, nothing confidential, just public knowledge amplified by my insight. Victor's empire bled, stock dipped 12%. Boardroom meetings turned to shouting matches. Ethan was demoted in a terse memo, slinking out without a goodbye, his Instagram going dark. The climax came in a neutral boardroom. Victor across from me, looking hollowed out, like regret had carved him from the inside. He'd requested the meeting through back channels, pleading for clarity. I slid over the acquisition papers for Vanguard, now Alliance. His hands trembled. Sophia. Why? Voice cracking. Eyes pleading. I leaned in. Voice a whisper that cut deeper than any shout. You showed me my worth. Now I'm showing you yours. He signed the NDA I presented, sealing his silence. No threats. No spectacle, just the mirror of his choices reflecting back. As I walked out into the bustling New York streets, the wind whipping my coat, I felt the release, not fiery vengeance, but the quiet power of a woman who'd turned invisibility into invincibility. Apex would survive, scarred and smaller, a testament to the cost of betrayal. And me? I was already building anew. Scars turned to steel.